like to add to it is with the new ability to transfer water straight to the ground storage and straight from forward, it has taken a lot of pressure off the operators, and a lot of pressure, because especially during our summer months, if something goes wrong, some valve changes, and then they're working.
When you say you got 2 operators there, or 3, they're there 24/7. Somebody's there 24/7 or not?
Well, one operator lives on site, so he and his family is there 24/7 if something's needed. We have an on-call system that basically, as the plant's there, it's SCADA controls is monitoring all the system. Something's wrong, it calls out immediately. They generally would know before it calls because they have tablets that they carry with them, and they just constantly, if you would like to call any time of the night, John Paul will be glad to give it to you. About every 2 or 3 hours.
I have his number here. I wake up about 3 in the morning every night anyway.
Me too.
Check on.
That concludes our presentation. We'd be happy to answer any more questions you guys have, but before that, I just want to thank you all again for your attention and all the questions. We had a great discussion, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
So-
Thank you for all your time.
Yeah, I mean, your team, right, and you and the project and the chemistry guy over here. I mean, if y'all, what I hear you saying, that if you were sitting in our chairs as leaders of this city, with all of your knowledge and experience of building, running, analyzing water, treating of water, and your knowledge of what you would think would happen in the future, then you would continue to do what we're doing, which is improving our plant. Is that a yes from
Yeah.
everyone? Was this a close call? Was this a no-brainer?
You know, it's debated, and we focus on the engineering pieces. You know, what do you need to make high-quality water? What do you need to get 20 years of life reliable? As Jason pointed out, you know, we always are incorporating safety factors and backups in all of our pieces. Every pump has a backup. Every process, we try and have an alternate plan. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, because if something happens, you are out. And so that, you know, what's the value of that? You can't put it in a present worth analysis, really. Citizens don't have water for a period of time. You know, what other situations could happen with, Fort Worth has a big system. They have a lot of treatment plants, but their whole system lost water during the freeze, and a massive system, you know? So that's why, that is the big driver as to, you know, yeah, it's a lot of money. And that's really not our engineering decision as much as you guys are assessing, yeah, would our residents rather have a lower water bill and take a risk? You know, what's that risk worth? So we always like to have a backup. And so that's why we're saying you have your ability to control your destiny and your treatment plant and adjust for the regs that come out in the future. This is a solid option. The 2 options of the 2 treatment scenarios are pretty even from an engineering standpoint.
Right.
And so it really wouldn't matter that much as an engineering deal, but the membrane filtration is a new technology, and sometimes new things are a little more riskier than standby. So that's why, you know, it's more expensive, it's a little riskier, new technology. That's why we said, yeah, stay with the same plant and address all the regulatory and mechanical things for another 20 years, and then have a backup of Fort Worth water. That's kind of where we're at, but that's a tough decision you guys got to make as to what's that worth to the citizens, to how much would their water bill be lower. We didn't do any of that analysis.
Well, I'd like to see.
Yeah.
But comparing 1 and 3, though, this is a real good car, and this is a real expensive one. But you're looking 20 years down the road. You think, I mean, what we're really doing is patching what we got, more than patching. But
Yeah, you still have some old concrete, which is not a big risk to us. Old pipes are more of a risk, and that could present some more capital issues in the future. There will be more equipment maintenance in another 20 years. Will that be less for the option 3 than option 1? There's less equipment, but it's more expensive equipment.
Yeah.
And so when you guys deal with it, you're paying more money.
And it's a more electronic equipment.
More electronics, and the membranes themselves have a life. And when you replace the membranes, it's $1 million. It's not replacing sand in your filter. It's a big deal. But they do have a 20-year life for the ceramic membrane that we're putting out here. They'll warranty it 20 years.
So to restate sort of what you're saying, you put a lot of weight or value on this backup.
Yeah.
Primarily
Yeah.
with the backup versus being
Yeah.
solely
Yeah.
limited to one.
A little history for those who are new on the board, Plummer and Associates, back before they were Plummer, it was Allen Plummer, they actually designed the plant back in '53.
No,
We did the
93
and 93.
Marvin was the only one who was.
Okay. Sorry, it was a company called Gregory and Gregory.
Yeah, that's right, it was.
Yeah, and I don't know in '53 if the city had the option to go with full work
Yeah.
or not. I don't know what the reason, I mean, obviously the lake was right there, maybe, they got rid of the wells, they went that route.
All right, any more questions? Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
One thing, let me start one other thing. When Herman's here, when Herman and I came on the council in '94, and we were, I guess it was related to this improvement y'all were talking about doing, we had to issue bonds. We said, before we took the money, did anyone do an analysis of whether or not we should put this money into the plant or let it go in the floor? And I very remember clearly that night, the council at the time said, no, we didn't, we're just going that route. So that's what, regardless of what we end up deciding, I'm confident that with this data, we will make a better decision. It may confirm a good decision we were already going to make, but at least we will know what the alternatives were, and we can say that we looked at each of the alternatives to make what we think is the best decision.
Absolutely. Are y'all confident then that everything that you're proposing now is what we're gonna need, so we don't have to come back 3 or 4 years? I'm really troubled about why this wasn't brought up when we did the thing several years ago, why that wasn't addressed at that time. But it wasn't y'all, it was whoever they used at the time. But I don't want to get in the middle of this and then find out 3 or 4 years from now it's going to take another total rebuild. If you say this will last 20 years with normal maintenance and stuff, you feel comfortable with what you're proposing, that's going to do the job.
Yes, sir, yeah. As David mentioned, there's a little more risk with older pipes and things of that nature, but what we're proposing, we're confident that.
With older pipes, you're talking about in the treatment plant or in
In
the
the
pipes in the city?
And the plan.
In the plant?
Yes, sir. But we're confident with these proposed improvements for 20-year design life.
concerned about flooring,
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We're going to adjourn the work session at 6:58.